Enclave and exclave, Wikipedia audio. An enclave is a territory, or a part of a territory, that is entirely surrounded by the territory of one other state. Territorial waters have the same sovereign attributes as land, and enclaves may therefore exist within territorial waters. 60 An exclave is a portion of a state or territory geographically separated from the main part by surrounding alien territory. Many exclaves are also enclaves. Enclave is sometimes used improperly to denote a territory that is only partly surrounded by another state. Vatican City and San Marino, enclaved by Italy, and Lesotho, enclaved by South Africa, are the only completely enclaved states. Unlike an enclave, an exclave can be surrounded by several states. The Azeri exclave of Nakhchivan is an example of an exclave. Semi-enclaves and semi-exclaves are areas that, except for possessing an unsurrounded sea border, would otherwise be enclaves or exclaves. 116. 1 to €14 Enclaves and semi-enclaves can exist as independent states, while exclaves always constitute just a part of a sovereign state. A enclave is a part of the territory of one country that can be approached conveniently in particular by wheeled traffic only through the territory of another country. 283 enclaves are also called functional enclaves or practical enclaves. 31 Many exclaves partially border their own territorial waters, such as Point Roberts, Washington. A enclave can also exist entirely on land, such as when intervening mountains render a territory inaccessible from other parts of a country except through alien territory. A commonly cited example is the Kleinwalsertal, a valley part of Vorarlberg, Austria, that is only accessible from Germany to the north. Origin and usage. The word enclave is French and first appeared in the mid-15th century as a derivative of the verb enclaver, from the colloquial Latin enclavere. Originally, it was a term of property law that denoted the situation of a land or parcel of land surrounded by land owned by a different owner, and that could not be reached for its exploitation in a practical and sufficient manner without crossing the surrounding land. In law, this created a servitude of passage for the benefit of the owner of the surrounded land. The first diplomatic document to contain the word enclave was the Treaty of Madrid, signed in 1526, 61. Later, the term enclave began to be used also to refer to parcels of countries, counties, fiefs, communes, towns, parishes, etc. that were surrounded by alien territory. This French word eventually entered the English and other languages to denote the same concept, although local terms have continued to be used. In India, the word pocket is often used as a synonym for enclave. In British administrative history, subnational enclaves were usually called detachments or detached parts, and national enclaves as detached districts or detached dominions. In English ecclesiastic history, subnational enclaves were known as peculiars. The Republic of San Marino, enclaved within Italy, Vatican City, enclaved within the city of Rome, Italy, the Kingdom of Lesotho, enclaved within South Africa. The word exclave, modeled on enclave, is a logical extension of the concept of enclave. Enclaves exist for a variety of historical, political, and geographical reasons. For example, in the feudal system in Europe, the ownership of feudal domains was often transferred or partitioned, either through purchase and sale or through inheritance, and often such domains were or came to be surrounded by other domains. In particular, This state of affairs persisted into the 19th century in the Holy Roman Empire, and these domains exhibited many of the characteristics of sovereign states. Prior to 1866, Prussia alone consisted of more than 270 discontiguous pieces of territory, 61. Residing in an enclave within another country has often involved difficulties in such areas as passage rights, importing goods, currency, provision of utilities and health services, and host nation cooperation. Thus, over time enclaves have tended to be eliminated. For example, 2/3 of the then existing national-level enclaves were extinguished on August 1, 2015, when the governments of India and Bangladesh implemented a land boundary agreement that exchanged 162 first-order enclaves. This exchange thus effectively de-enclaved another 24 second-order enclaves and 1 order enclave, eliminating 197 of the Indo-Bangladesh enclaves in all. The residents in these enclaves had complained of being effectively stateless. Only Bangladesh's Dahagrama Angarpata enclave remained. For illustration, in the figure, A1 is a semi-enclave. Although A2 is an exclave of A, it cannot be classed as an enclave because it shares borders with B and C. The territory A3 is both an exclave of A and an enclave from the viewpoint of B. The singular territory D, although an enclave, is not an exclave. An enclave is a part of the territory of a state that is enclosed within the territory of another state. To distinguish the parts of a state entirely enclosed in a single other state, they are called true enclaves. 10. A true enclave cannot be reached without passing through the territory of a single other state that surrounds it. Vinokurov calls this the restrictive definition of enclave given by international law, which thus comprises only so-called true enclaves. 10. Two examples are Ba1/4 Sinjan, a true enclave of Germany, and Campione d'Italia, a true enclave of Italy, both surrounded by Switzerland. Nakhchivan, which borders Turkey, Armenia, and Iran, is an exclave of Azerbaijan, in the United Arab Emirates. 4 Emirates have 5 true exclaves: Dubai, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, and Sharjah. Lavia is an enclave and exclave of Spain surrounded by France. Campione d'Italia is an enclave and exclave of Italy surrounded by Switzerland. Ba1/4 Sinjan Hachrein is an enclave and exclave of Germany surrounded by Switzerland. The shortest distance from Ba1/4 Sinjan's borders to the main portion of German territory is only about 700 meters. Likama and Chizumulu Islands in Lake Malawi are lacustrine enclaves and exclaves of Malawi, surrounded by Mozambique territorial waters. The definition of a territory comprises both land territory and territorial waters. In the case of enclaves in territorial waters, they are called maritime or lacustrine enclaves. 10 Most of the true national-level enclaves now existing are in Asia and Europe. While subnational enclaves are numerous the world over, there are only a few national-level true enclaves in Africa, Australia, and the Americas. A historical example was West Berlin before the reunification of Germany. Since 1945, all of Berlin was ruled de jure by the 4 Allied powers. However, the East German government and the Soviet Union treated East Berlin as an integral part of East Germany, so West Berlin was a de facto enclave within East Germany. Also, 12 small West Berlin enclaves, such as Steinste-1/4, were separated from the city, some by only a few meters. Alaska, one of the states in the United States of America, is the largest semi-enclave in the world, separated from the U.S. by Canada. Enclave, a district on the northwestern side of the island of Timor, is a semi-enclave of East Timor. Ceuta and Melilla are Spanish semi-enclaves on the Mediterranean coast of Morocco. Temburong is a Bruneian semi-enclave surrounded by Malaysia. Kaliningrad Oblast is a federal subject of Russia, a semi-exclave situated on the Baltic coast. Cabinda is a semi-exclave in a province of Angola on the Atlantic coast of southwestern Africa, separated by the only sea access port of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. French Guiana, in South America, is a semi-exclave that is bounded by Suriname, Brazil, and the Atlantic Ocean. Characteristics: 3 nations are completely surrounded by another country. The Principality of Monaco is not an enclave, although it only borders France, because it possesses a coastline and territorial waters. For the same reason, Brunei, the Gambia, and Portugal are also not enclaves. Historically, 4 of the Bantustans of South Africa were granted nominal independence, unrecognized internationally, by the nationalist government from 1976 until their reabsorption in 1994. Others remained under government rule from 1948 to 1994. Being heavily partitioned, various parts of these Bantustans were true enclaves. The United States constitutional principle of tribal sovereignty treats federally recognized Indian reservations as quasi-independent enclaves. To establish jurisdiction, the Scottish court in the Netherlands, at Kamp Zeist near Utrecht, was temporarily declared as sovereign territory of the United Kingdom under Scots law for the duration of the trial of those accused in the Lockerbie bombing, and was therefore an exclave of the United Kingdom and of Scotland, and an enclave within the Netherlands. This was also so during the appeal against the conviction. The court was first convened in 1999, and the land returned to the Netherlands in 2002. True exclave is an extension of the concept of true enclave. Examples include: semi-enclaves and semi-exclaves are areas that, except for possessing an unsurrounded sea border, would otherwise be enclaves or exclaves. 116. 14 semi-enclaves can exist as independent states that border only one other state, such as Monaco, the Gambia, and Brunei. Vinokourov declares, technically, Portugal, Denmark, and Canada also border only one foreign state, but they are not enclosed in the geographical, political, or economic sense. They have vast access to international waters. At the same time, there are states that, although in possession of sea access, are still enclosed by the territories of a foreign state. 14 Therefore, a quantitative principle applies: the land boundary must be longer than the coastline. Thus a state is classified as a sovereign semi-enclave if it borders on just one state, and its land boundary is longer than its sea coastline. 14. 20 22. Enclave versus exclave. True enclaves. Vinokourov affirms that no similar quantitative criterion is needed to define the scope of non-sovereign semi-enclaves/exclaves. 14. 26 examples include: Dadra, enclaved within the state of Gujarat, is part of Dadra and Nagar Haveli in India. Pondicherry district, of the Union Territory of Puducherry, is made of 12 non-contiguous parts, many of them true enclaves entirely surrounded by the state of Tamil Nadu. Before Pondicherry, along with the other territories of French India, was absorbed into India in 1954, they were enclaved within the Union of India, and before that the British Raj. Also a legacy of the French colonial period, the Mahe district is made of 3 non-contiguous parts enclaved within the state of Kerala. From 1947 to 1971, Bangladesh was a part of Pakistan as its East Pakistan exclave, separated from West Pakistan by 1,760 kilometers of India. In 1971 it eventually gained independence during the Bangladesh Liberation War. Before 1974, and especially before 1844, there were many exclaves of counties in England and Wales. The counties of Scotland before reorganisation in 1889 included dozens of exclaves. This was especially notable in the case of Cromartyshire, which was split into at least 9 parts spread across Ross-shire. The French Department of Pira Copyright NA Copyright ES Atlantiques, in the southwest of France, surrounds 2 enclaves of the neighbouring Department of Haute-Spira Copyright NA Copyright ES. The French Department of Vaucluse has a rather large exclave to its southeast within the DRAME Department the canton of Valra Copyright AS. San Colombano al Lambro is an exclave of the province of Milan at the junction between the Pavia and Lodi provinces. The exclave arose when the province of Lodi was carved out of the province of Milan, but a referendum in San Colombano indicated the locals' wish to stay in Milan. As a result, the commune is the only wine-producing area in the mostly urbanized province of Milan. Enclaved countries. Temporary enclaves. True exclaves. Related constructs and terms. Semi-enclaves/exclaves. Sometimes, administrative divisions of a country, for historical or practical reasons, caused some areas to belong to one division while being attached to another. Northern Ireland, an area of the United Kingdom, is bounded by the Republic of Ireland, the Irish Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. Equatorial Guinea's continental portion, Rio Muni, is a semi-exclave surrounded by Gabon, Cameroon, and the Atlantic Ocean. The northwest angle in Minnesota is geographically separated from the rest of the state by Lake of the Woods and is only accessible on land through Canada, via Manitoba. Point Roberts, Washington, is an unincorporated community in Whatcom County, located on the southernmost tip of the Tsawwassen Peninsula, south of Delta, British Columbia, Canada. That can be reached by land from the rest of the United States only by traveling through Canada. Vermont has 2 pine enclaves with Canada. Province Point, a few kilometers to the northeast of the town of East Albug, Vermont, is the southernmost tip of a small promontory approximately 2 acres in size. The promontory is cut through by the US-Canada border. As such, the area is a practical enclave of the United States contiguous with Canada. Similarly, the southern point of Province Island, a small island mostly in the Canadian province of Quebec, crosses into the American state of Vermont. It is situated in Lake Memphremagog, near Newport, Vermont. Walvis Bay, now part of Namibia, was a pine exclave of the Cape Colony in German Southwest Africa, created in 1878. It became part of the Cape Province of the Union of South Africa in 1910, but from 1922, it was administered as a de facto part of Southwest Africa, a League of Nations mandate. In 1977, it was separated from that territory and reintegrated into the Cape Province. South Africa did not relinquish sovereignty over Walvis Bay until 1994, nearly 4 years after Namibia's independence. The term Peen exclave was defined in Robinson as parts of the territory of one country that can be approached conveniently in particular by wheeled traffic only through the territory of another country. 283 Thus, a Peen exclave, although having land borders, is not completely surrounded by the other's land or territorial waters. 60 Catadal, 113 and Vinokourov, 31 33 further elaborate upon examples, including Point Roberts. Although physical connections by water with Point Roberts are entirely within the sovereignty of the United States, land access is only possible through Canada. The Dutch municipality of Barle-Nassau has 7 exclaves and 2 exclaves of the Belgian municipality of Barle-Hertog. The former complex of enclaves at Koechebeer district included 24 second-order enclaves and 1 small third-order enclave called Dahila Kagrabari No. 51, a piece of India within Bangladesh, within India, within Bangladesh. The Indo-Bangladesh enclaves were exchanged on July 31, 2015 by the ratified Land Boundary Agreement, and Dahila Kagrabari was ceded to Bangladesh. Nawa of the United Arab Emirates is surrounded by Madha, an exclave of Oman within the U.A.E. The Portuguese town of Estremoz is made up of 2 civil parishes, the small Santo André copyright and the big Santa Maria. Santo André copyright corresponds to the Old Town, but excludes the Citadel, which is an enclave inside the Old Town. The Citadel belongs to Santa Maria, which also includes the entire New Town and the vast rural area around it. Thus, Santa Maria has an enclave with a second-order enclave inside it. Peen enclaves are also called functional enclaves or practical enclaves. 31 They can exhibit continuity of state territory across territorial waters but, nevertheless, a discontinuity on land, such as in the case of Point Roberts. 47 Along rivers that change course, Peen enclaves can be observed as complexes comprising many small Peen enclaves. 50 A Peen enclave can also exist entirely on land, such as when intervening mountains render a territory, although geographically attached, inaccessible from other parts of a country except through alien territory. A commonly cited example is the Kleinwalsertal, a valley part of Vorarlberg, Austria, that is only accessible from Germany to the north, being separated from the rest of Austria by high mountains traversed by no roads. Another example is the Spanish village of Os de Civas accessible from Andorra. Sa copyright Kali land is a Hungarian ethnic enclave within Romania, with its people calling themselves Sa copyright Kali. Originally, the name Sa copyright Kali land denoted an autonomous region within Transylvania. It existed as a legal entity from medieval times until the Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867, when the Sa copyright Kali and Saxon seats were dissolved and replaced by the county system. Along with Transylvania, it became a part of Romania in 1920, according with the Treaty of Trianon signed on June 4, 1920 at the Grand Trianon Palace in Versailles, France. In 1938 1940, during World War II, post-Trianon Hungary temporarily expanded its territory and included some additional territories that were formerly part of pre-war Kingdom of Hungary, under Third Reich auspices, the Second Vienna Award. It was later reduced to boundaries approximating those of 1920 by the peace treaties signed after World War II at Paris, in 1947. The area was called Magyar Autonomous Region between September 8, 1952 and February 16, 1968. A Hungarian autonomous region within Romania, and today there are territorial autonomy initiatives to reach a higher level of self-governance for this region within Romania. The 2008 film Silent Light depicts a Mennonite Flemish sect living within the Mexican state of Chihuahua, who speak a dialect called Plotdic. There are several Serb enclaves in Kosovo where the institutions of Kosovo are not fully operational due to disputes. Subnational enclaves and exclaves. Hence, such areas are enclaves or exclaves for practical purposes, without meeting the strict definition. Many exclaves partially border the sea or another body of water, which comprises their own territorial waters. Because they border their own territorial waters in addition to a land border with another country, they are not true exclaves. Still, one cannot travel to them on land without going through another country. Attribution of a enclave status to a territory can sometimes be disputed, depending on whether the territory is considered to be practically inaccessible from the mainland or not. 33. It is possible for an enclave of one country to be completely surrounded by a part of another country that is itself an enclave of the first country. These enclaves are sometimes called counter-enclaves. An ethnic enclave is a community of an ethnic group inside an area in which another ethnic group predominates. Ghettos, Little Italies, barrios, and Chinatowns are examples. These areas may have a separate language, culture, and economic system. Diplomatic missions, such as embassies and consulates, as well as military bases, are usually exempted from the jurisdiction of the host country, i.e., the laws of the host nation in which an embassy is located do not typically apply to the land of the embassy or base itself. This exemption from the jurisdiction of the host country is defined as extraterritoriality. Areas and buildings enjoying some forms of extraterritoriality are not true enclaves since, in all cases, the host country retains full sovereignty. In addition to embassies, some other areas enjoy a limited form of extraterritoriality. Examples of this include: some areas of land in a country are owned by another country and in some cases it has special privileges, such as being exempt from taxes. These lands are not enclaves and do not have extraterritoriality since, in all cases, there is no transfer of sovereignty. Examples of this include practical enclaves, exclaves and inaccessible districts. Changes in borders can make a railway that was previously located solely within a country traverse the new borders. Since diverting a railway is expensive, this arrangement may last a long time. This may mean that doors on passenger trains are locked and guarded to prevent illicit entry and exit while the train is temporarily in another country. Borders can also be in the wrong place, forcing railways into difficult terrain. Examples include Pavillon de Breteuil in France, used by the General Conference on Weights and Measures, United Nations headquarters in the United States, used by the United Nations Office at Geneva in Switzerland, used by the United Nations, Interpol headquarters in Lyon, France, used by Interpol, NATO headquarters near Évora in Héron, a part of the city of Brussels, Belgium, headquarters Allied Command Operations at the area designated as Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, north of Mons. Belgium, Palazzo Malta and the Villa del Priorato di Malta, the headquarters of Sovereign Military Order of Malta in Rome. In addition to extraterritoriality, Italy recognizes the exercise by SMOM of all the prerogatives of sovereignty in its headquarters. Therefore, Italian sovereignty and SMOM sovereignty uniquely coexist without overlapping. Extraterritorial properties of the Holy See in Rome and surroundings. By Treaty of November 2, 1929, Czechoslovakia obtained the lease for 99 years of 2 plots of land, both within the perimeter of the Free Port of Hamburg. Another plot, in the Putthafen, was purchased by the Czechoslovak government in 1929. This plot lies just outside the Free Port perimeter. Sala Hafen a euro approximately 2 ha of land on Holesches Ufer, on the southeastern bank of the Sala Hafen. Moldau Hafen a euro approximately 0.5 ha of land on Dresdener Ufer, on the southeastern bank of the Moldau Hafen. Putthafen a euro the narrow peninsula between the Puttkanal and the Putthafen dock, comprising 8.054 ha of land and 0.5 ha of water surface. Subnational practical enclaves, exclaves and inaccessible districts. This arrangement is less common as highways are more easily realigned. Examples include Napoleon's original grave in Longwood, St. Helena, owned by France. The Brest Memorial, in Brest, France, has been owned by the United States since the aftermath of World War I. Victor Hugo's house in St. Peter Port, Guernsey, owned by the City of Paris. The Normandy American Cemetery and Memorial in Normandy, France, which contains the graves of 9,386 American military dead, most of whom died during the landings and ensuing operations of World War II, owned by the United States of America. Pointe du Hoc, 13-hectare site of a memorial and museum dedicated to the World War II Normandy landing at Omaha Beach, transferred by France to American control on January 11, 1979. The Suvorov Memorial, near Gießkannen in central Switzerland, was erected in 1899 by the Russian Empire. The 563 Ma superscript 2 area is parcel number 725 of the Land Register of Andermatt, owned by the Russian Embassy in Bern. The parcel is Swiss territory and fully subject to Swiss law. Lists. Salzburg to Innsbruck. A railway line within Austria exists as well, but trains take about 1.5 hours longer than across German territory. Trains on the Biersig Valley line from Basel to Rodersdorf, Switzerland, which passes through Leyment, France. It is operated by Basel Land Transport and serviced by line number 10, which continues into the Basel tram network. Trains from Neugersdorf, Saxony to Zittau pass Czech territory at Varnsdorf, while Czech trains from Varnsdorf to Chra Stava pass through German territory at Zittau, and then a small part of Polish territory near the village of Paraja superscript 3W. Trains from Gierolitz to Zittau, Germany, pass the border river Neisse several times. The railway station for Ostritz, Germany, lies in Krzyżwina. Zgorzelec, Poland, Belgradia Eurobar Railway crosses into Bosnia and Herzegovina for 9 kilometers, between stations Zlatibor and Pribaje. There is one station, Atrpsi, but there are no border crossing facilities and trains do not call at the station. The Nin-Euro-Bihać Railway between Croatia and Bosnia is split by the Croatian-Euro-Bosnian border several times. Similarly, the Savski Marof-Euro-Imano Railway was split by the Slovenian-Euro-Croatian border several times. The local trains on the Burgenlandbahn in Austria cross the area of Hungary at Sopron. During the era of the Iron Curtain, the trains had their doors locked as they traversed Hungarian territory. The line from Ventimiglia to Limini Piedmont, Italy, via Brile sur Roya, France. The Hochrheinbahn from Basel via Waldstadt to Schaffhausen is part of the Deutsche Bahn network, and is mostly in Germany, but the two ends are in Switzerland and it is only connected with the rest of the German railway network via Switzerland. At both Basel and Schaffhausen the railway has extraterritorial status. One can travel by train to and from the rest of Germany without going through Swiss customs. See Basel-Badischer Bahnhof. Similarly, during the Cold War, underground lines in West Berlin ran under parts of East Berlin. Ghost stations were stations on Berlin's U-Bahn and S-Bahn metro networks that were closed during this period of Berlin's division. The Belgian Vennbahn lies on a narrow strip of Belgian territory running through Germany, creating 5 German exclaves. The railway between France and Italy briefly leaves France to enter Monaco in a 150-meter tunnel before entering France once more. Enclaves within enclaves. Ethnic enclaves. Extraterritoriality. Land owned by a foreign country. Unusual cross-border transport channels. National railway passing through another state's territory. Highway of one state passing through another state's territory. Subnational highway passing through other internal territory. Border transport infrastructure. Notes. Various roads crossing the border back and forth between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. The N54 in County Monaghan, Ireland twice becomes the A3 in County Fermanagh, NI, before continuing as the N54. Similarly, the N53 in Monaghan passes through County Armagh, NI as the A37, before resuming as the N53 at the border between Monaghan and County Louth, Ireland. No national or county border signs are present. Congo Pedicle Road, built to provide access for Zambia's Luapula province to the Copperbelt through 70 kilometers of territory of the DR Congo, requiring a change in driving on the left to driving on the right. Between 1963 and 2002 the N274 road from Roermond to Heerlen, part of Dutch territory, passed through the German Self-Kant, which had been annexed by the Netherlands after the Second World War but returned to Germany in 1963, close to Narvik. A road from Norway twice enters and leaves Swedish territory, following the southern shore of the Kaja-Jernredavatnet Lake. It does not connect with any other Swedish road in either location before it enters Norwegian land once more. Road 402 between Podsabatin and Solkan in Slovenia, built when Slovenia was a state of Yugoslavia, passes through part of Italy. The road is confined by high concrete walls topped by fences, as Slovenia and Italy are now both signatories to the Schengen Agreement. The barriers are little more than historical curiosities. The Sotsy Boot Road in Estonia, between the villages of Ludpa and Sesniki, passes through Russian territory. The stretch of road passing through Russia is flanked by barbed wire fences and guard towers. Stopping and/or getting out of one's vehicle on the stretch of road is forbidden. The rule is enforced by Russian border guards. The road from Dubai to the tourist spot of Hadda, an exclave of the Emirate of Dubai, passes through a small stretch of Omani territory. East Richford Slide Road in the U.S. state of Vermont crosses into the Canadian province of Copyright Beck for a distance of approximately 100 meters before returning to the United States. The D8 coastal highway of Croatia passes through a small section of Herzegovina territory, at the Herzegovinian town of Neum, as it heads south from Split to Dubrovnik, in Guinea, where 20 km long tunnel through a hill spur at Nagaya, Sikora, Bakariadai and Faraya might be avoided by crossing the border into Sierra Leone at Yana, Senegal is practically and inconveniently divided in two by the sovereign territory of Gambia. The easiest way to travel from northern Senegal to the southern Casamance region is through Gambia via the Trans-Gambia Highway, with the connecting ferry being the only way to cross the Gambia River. The fare for the ferry crossing is a source of contention between the two countries. In 2015, a road bridge is under construction, the highway between Bishkek and Issyk-Kul, both in Kyrgyzstan, skirts the border with Kazakhstan, with the highway and the border crossing each other for short distances at various points. List of enclaves and exclaves, list of countries that border only one other country, list of former foreign enclaves in China, list of ethnic enclaves in North American cities.